And for more on the spread of the Delta variant and the state of vaccinations in the U.S., let's bring in Dr. Darien Sutton, an emergency medicine physician and an ABC News medical contributor. Dr. Sutton, thank you for joining us. President Biden today in his speech, while he was celebrating largely, he did also warn about the spread of the Delta variant, and we know the CDC has called it a variant of concern. Can you just explain to our viewers why this particular strain is so concerning, especially for people who are unvaccinated?
What we have seen is that this variant was first identified in India and now is dominant in the UK, where, for example, in places like England, it has been associated to a 130% increase in cases in a 14-day case rate that we're seeing right now. And now in the US, it's associated with approximately 10% of new cases. Now, this is a concern because this variant has been shown to be more transmissible and in some cases more severe in terms of symptoms and outcomes. But we're still learning, trying to understand whether or not this variant is causing severe outcomes in terms of hospitalizations and deaths. The reason why we need to pay close attention to this is because this may threaten the work that we have done so far, to be quite honest with you, in terms of the vaccines that we're putting out there and making sure that people are protected against this virus.
Another incentive, really, for adults to get their shot. But on that point, given this variant's high rate of transmissibility, should there be particular concern for parents with children who aren't yet old enough to be vaccinated? Do they need to be taking extra precautions now?
Right now, what we know is that according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, there have been over 2 million cases of COVID associated with children, and that has been associated with more than 300 deaths. Now, that equates to approximately a 0.01% risk of death of those children who get COVID-19. Now, although that percent is low, of course, every number counts, as each number represents a missing seat at the breakfast table and a family that is still mourning. So we want to prevent that as much as possible. So my personal advice to parents or for children who cannot get vaccinated to continue to practice caution by wearing masks and avoiding crowded spaces.
Not yet safe to return to life for everyone. And we have, Doctor, also seen those reports of cases of myocarditis or heart inflammation that are showing up in some adolescents who have taken the vaccine. And we don't want to be alarmist. We know this is a very small portion of millions of Americans who have been vaccinated, but they are looking into it. And if there is a link, a frequent criticism of the vaccine that we hear from people who might be hesitant is that we don't yet fully know the long-term potential impacts of these vaccines. Is that a reason for concern? Do the benefits still outweigh everything? I mean, what do we need to know about that?
I think that the benefits of the vaccine still outweigh any possible risk that we are seeing. So what we're seeing in these cases of myocarditis, which is simply an inflammation of the heart muscle, or pericarditis, which is an inflammation of the lining around the heart, we're seeing of the over 7 million children and adolescents who have gotten vaccinated, a small number coming in with these symptoms, majority of which are boys that seem to have these symptoms after their second dose. Now, again, this number is small, but it's an important signal to pay attention to. But I want to give there some more context to this. So myocarditis is an inflammation that we see in the heart muscle that is associated with many viral illnesses, many of which include COVID-19. And so what I try to explain to parents is that the risk of COVID-19 far outweighs this possible mild or small risk associated with these vaccines. And it's important that we take that into consideration when making the decision to get vaccinated, because I also want to advise parents that waiting comes with its own risk of possibility of long-term symptoms associated to COVID, the 1 in 1,000 children who get multi-system inflammatory syndrome associated to COVID, and then, of course, preventing any hospitalizations or long-term outcomes associated with COVID. So at the end, the risk of COVID far outweighs any risk that we can see with these vaccines, and the history and the technology behind this vaccine has been studied for over a decade.
Myocarditis is treatable and usually temporary also, right?
Yeah, so actually in the study with the American Academy of Pediatrics, they put out a study specifically looking at 7 children who happened to have myocarditis after their vaccinations. All 7 were treated with non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, commonly known as ibuprofen, and they seem to have resolved without issue. And so that's really reassuring.
And also, real quick, Doctor, big picture here. We've now hit 300 million doses administered since President Biden took office. I do think he is correct that we hit that number faster than a lot of people thought we would. At the same time, we will likely fall short of President Biden's goal of 70% of Americans having at least one dose by the 4th of July. We came out of the gate in a hurry, we might be running out of gas. Overall, are we still in a good position as a country on our vaccination rate? Are we still vulnerable? How should Americans be feeling right now?
I think we are in a good position. I think that we should be proud of the work that we have done. And although we are winning in this race against COVID, we shouldn't simply give up and throw down our baton. I think we still have more work to do.
And we can take a moment to reflect on our achievements and feel good about them while still knowing that there is work to be done. Dr. Darien Sutton, thanks to you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.